Hey, Ed here from 10,000 Foot View, and I've got another Google Ads quick tip for you today. Just before I jump in, just a reminder to please subscribe to the channel. We post once or twice a week, and you don't want to miss out. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Google Ads for medical device companies. I myself came from that industry. I spent about 15 years working for a number of startups before opening my agency back in 2013. We do work with quite a few medical device companies, and we know a little bit of something about making those campaigns perform. Okay, so before I jump into kind of how to make your campaign sing, I'm going to talk a little bit about the industry. Medical devices cover a wide range of products, anything from tongue depressors that sell for pennies to MRIs that sell for millions of dollars. In terms of distribution, you have products sold direct to consumers, you have products sold to and through medical care professionals, to clinics and hospitals, and through very complex distribution networks like wholesalers and dealers. And then in terms of scope of campaign type, you do have lead generation, brand awareness, and online selling. But fortunately, Google does have a variety of solutions that suit all of those needs. Okay, so one of the first things to understand about medical devices, a couple of eccentricities. And one of them is because it's heavily regulated and you do need approvals to sell medical devices, you have to be very careful about your ad copy and ensuring it matches up with your marketing claims. Failure to do so could get you shut down by the FDA or Health Canada or CE, as the case may be. So the first thing you need to do with Google Ads is make sure you disable any type of automated creative generation. And there are a lot of places that Google can do that if you're not careful. I will actually post a link to another video I made that explains how to shut all of that off. But that's the first thing you need to know. The second one is that Google does not allow remarketing for healthcare products, which obviously encompasses medical devices. So you're just not going to be able to do it. I will talk in a little bit about a kind of a workaround to do sort of remarketing. But what we typically do with our clients is we will run remarketing through Meta Ads, which does not have a restriction. So that's typically the best approach. You could run remarketing through LinkedIn as well, for example, or an ad roll as a third party. But with Meta, you're going to reach pretty much everybody. Okay, so in terms of campaigns for a lot of medical device companies, particularly if you're in lead gen, search is going to be the main focus and where you're going to generate your leads. You can generate sales, of course, as well. If you're only selling individual or specific product that you probably wouldn't turn to shopping ads. So typically search is going to be your biggest ad spend, if not all of it. And then in terms of kind of setting up your campaigns, unless you're an e-com or you have like a wide range of products and services, you can probably get away with a single campaign targeting topics. And then I would add definitely brand it to defend your own brand against competitors. I would also consider testing targeting competing brands. It's a little more advanced, and the results typically mean you're going to get a much lower return for those, but it can still be worth testing and can work out sometimes. The other thing I'd say, and this kind of goes to most lead gen campaigns these days, but if you're able to estimate the revenue for leads, you should be tracking different revenue for those. Either you can kind of in a simple example, if you get phone calls and you get form fills, well, maybe phone calls they tend to close more into business. Then you might incrementally increase the value of those, and that's really going to help Google figure out where to spend your money in terms of what types of users and on queries as well. Um, In terms of search campaigns, also, make sure that you're utilizing every copy slot in your RSA. Um, and then in terms of keywords, I would start with phrase and exact match for most medical device companies. And you want to ensure that you're using qualifiers to avoid running into adjacent markets or running your ads to the wrong audience. So a classic example in this space is if you sell devices to practitioners, but your ads can show up for consumer queries for the service, right? So let's say you sell nail fungus lasers to physicians that provide that service. Well, anybody putting in like nail fungus laser, it might be a consumer that's looking for a treatment or just nail fungus treatment. So including things like qualifiers like device or equipment or for sale can help ensure that consumers don't see your ad while your target market does. Um, Once you've kind of mastered search campaigns, it can be worthwhile to expand at PMAX. And again, I'm talking more about lead gen here, because it can definitely get you incremental conversions and help work further up the funnel. Um, so definitely worth adding. One thing to be careful of with PMAX, with medical, again, is turn off URL expansion and turn off automated ad creation. Um, because obviously, again, we have to have control over that ad copy. And then in terms of audience targeting, one thing to know that's kind of interesting is you can add customer lists to your audience signal. You cannot target them directly, but remember, PMAX doesn't actually target directly. So you can, in this case, add your customer list to your audience. So very powerful and will really help Google determine which users to serve ads to. The other thing is if you're going to then, if you're in e-commerce and you're brand new to Google Ads, we do recommend starting with standard shopping rather than starting with PMAX. And the main reason for that is you'll be able to track your search queries that are triggering your ad and add negatives to that. Again, this is in the standard shopping campaign. When you're ready to then migrate to PMAX in a couple of months, you can take that list and you can provide that to your Google rep, and they can actually attach that to your PMAX campaign, which is very powerful for ensuring that you're running for the right queries. Okay, so a little while ago I talked about remarketing campaigns and you can't run them. There is a small workaround you can do, and basically you create a custom intent audience, and in that audience you target your brand as a keyword in your domain. And the truth is that Google can still target things that are similar to that, which could be your competitors. So it's not really remarketing, but it's sort of remarketing. So, we've run it successfully for a number of clients. It tends to be hit or miss. And again, I do think for most medical device advertisers, you're best off to just like add a meta ads remarketing campaign, but not everybody wants to, invest into that. We get it. In terms of other campaign types, once you kind of pass $10,000, 15,000 in ad spend, you might want to consider a dedicated demand gen campaign. That will help you kind of hit the middle of the funnel and top of the funnel with very high quality placements, all Google inventory. Again, if you have a smaller budget, PMAX is going to take care of all of this for you, but bigger budgets, you may want to then kind of have a little more control over where you're spending. The last thing I'll talk about is just tools. If you are doing lead gen with medical devices and you do get a lot of inbound calls, I'd say more than 25% of your leads come from calls. Definitely you want to use a tool like CallRail or another third-party call tracking tool. What that'll do is not only give you much better intelligence about where your leads are coming from, but it'll also provide a lot more conversion data to Google, which in turn can boost your performance tremendously. So just in summary, medical device is very tricky. There's a few things to be worried about with respect to making sure your ad copy matches up with your claims. Um, you know, there's workarounds for remarketing. You can't run remarketing. And then there's some kind of ways that you need to set up your keywords to be efficient. So that's it for today. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you next time.